Welcome to Sathvidya Java tutorials. Now we are in section 8. In this lesson we are going to talk about type infer and we are going to talk little bit more about bounded type parameters. From Java 7 this type infer was introduced. For example, look at this class. We have a class like my class with two generic parameters t and s, and while creating object we are going to pass the type like an arguments. So what type infer will do is type infer is going to replace this whole part with this keyword. We can rewrite the above statement like this and both acts like the same. So here Java itself infers all the types to here. So you no need to explicitly say. Now this statement is no more a raw type. Now let's see some user-defined interfaces as bounded type. We already saw how to implement the generic interfaces in the generic classes. Now we'll see how to use the interfaces as a bounded type. We saw like predefined interface like comparable. Now see user-defined interface. And these generic parameters cannot implement the interface, right? So that's why we don't use the keyword called implement, but still we can use the keyword called extends, and we can say that we are going to use this interface for this particular type. So we also can use multi-bounded parameters, and if you are using multi-bounded parameters you can separate those parameters like this parameter with the interfaces like end symbol, and if you have a class in it then you have to put the class at the front, then you can use and one generic type can implement only one extends only one class but many interfaces. Now let's go to the Eclipse and look at the example. Here I have created one interfaces and three classes. So first my interface is interface. Here I am creating with non-generic interface first like this, and I have one method called display my message, and also I have one class called class 1 where this class is going to override this interface here, interface method like this, and also I have class 2 which implements the interface and overrides the method here, and I have a main class over here where my main class is the generic type, where the generic type extends my generic interface. So now my generic type is ready to accept all the methods that are available in that interface. So what happens if I say only interface? You can pass any object over here. Here I have created one method with this type. So here you can pass any object that implements the generic interface, my generic interface. Here class 1 and class 2 implemented my generic interface. So that's why here in the main method I have created an object with my generic interface, and first I am trying to pass the object of class 1, next I am going to pass the object of class 2. So what happens, it is going to, when I am going to save this and run it, it is going to execute class 1 implementation part first and class 2 implementation part next, and it is going to display you the output of both the classes. If you try to give only one class, then you can use one class. If you want to use the other class also you can use, and using that interface, using this interface you can pass any class object where that class should implement this interface. So you can use all the methods directly like this. So this is where we can do. Now also we'll see what happens if I'm going to make my interface like a generic interface. So for example, here I am going to comment this first, and here I have made one generic interface with two generic parameters like t and s. Now my display method accepts t and s. Now I go to the class over here. So what happening here in the class, I should implement, because since now I changed my method here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment this part and I'm going to uncomment this part. So what happens if I do this? This class 1 extends this number, and then Let's see what's going wrong with it. So it is going to say an error by say nested type. Okay, I also have to comment this part. Wait, now we are all set. So look at this now. So here I have class where t extends number and u extends number. So in this class I want to pass two parameters where one is extending two parameters is extending number, since I want to perform some arithmetic operations in my method. So that's why I made class 1 like t extends, and I'm going to implement this interface over here with the values like numbers. Now coming to my class 2. So what happened in my class 2? Now again we are going to comment our previous part here, and let's uncomment our other implementation part according to generic parameters. So here look at this. So in our class 1 what did I do? I have given t and I have given my t and u extends number, but in my class 2 what I am giving, t and u extends comparable, where here what I want to do is I want to compare the two values that I am passing. If they equal, it will say matches. If they are not equal, it is going to say not matches. This is also implementing generic type parameters. So you know all the rules that we have to follow while implementing generic interface to the generic class, right? So what I am going to do in my main method now, since this is the previous one, we are going to comment this and we are going to uncomment this part first. So what I am doing here is let me calm down. Okay, and also comment this part, and then I am going to uncomment here. So observe carefully. Here is my main method where t extends the generic interface. Let me also comment this part. Okay. So where t extends my generic interface, I said here. So generic interface, since my arguments has s and u, you also have to pass s and u in your type. If you are not passing s and u, again it is going to produce you an error. So what all you are defining in your type, you also have to specify that type. That's why here again I am giving s and u like this. So while you are using generic type parameters, if you are extending generic type parameters, that class method also should contain the parameters, that means type that you are passing here. Otherwise it is going to treat this type like undefined. That's why we must, and this is one of the rule we have to follow when we are extending a generic type interface as a bounded type. Okay, so like this we can do, and our message is simple. Again, what we are doing here, we are trying to make like a checkout t, and I am trying to send two parameters. Right here we have, since two parameters, I am sending two parameters over here. So what are the two parameters? One parameter, if you are trying to create the object over here, first time what I am going to create here is, first I am saying my generic interface double. So I am trying to pass my double values here. So what happens if I pass the double values? So you can use the class 1 object to pass the double values, because our class 1 object, if you look at here, our class 1 object extends the number. That's why you can pass numbers in order to perform the arithmetic operation over here. And I am creating another class with the string. This class belongs to class 2. That's why I am passing class 2 method, where I am passing two strings of the same, and check whether these two strings are same or not. So here I'm going to save this, and that we change it till now. I'm going to save this part, and first let me save the interface part, and then come to the class 1 and save it, and finally go to our main part and run it and see. And if you run and see what happens, first it is going to execute the class 1 method. Since we are passing double values, our class 1 extends numbers there, so it is going to perform, it is going to execute that method, and it is going to result like this. And coming to class 2, you can get class 2 method implementation part over here. So like this you can do. And one more thing, for example, what you want to do here, we have, again, if you go back and see, we have a generic interface as same, accepting 2 parameters, and also number, we have extends number, and also here extends comparable. And coming to here, what I am going to do is, instead I am going to create another object, like passing, making my method, let me comment this part, now go to the up, making my method, method like bounded, like multiple bounded parameters. Here what we are doing, only T, we are extending only one interface. If I want also extend, that means I want to specific to my class, I don't want to use all the classes, I want to be specific to my class and the interface that I am using. So then what you can do is, I am going to restrict my T to this type, and also I am implementing, I am using class and the interface over here, so that now, since if you observe here S and U, here S and U in our class name as numbers. So you are defining S and U, and if you are not giving your parameters like extend numbers over here, again it is going to treat it like a type mismatch. Because if you are not giving here extend number, user may send some string values like our previous type. So what happens, string values, if it comes, again it is going to produce and compile runtime error by saying here it is not matching. So in order to go away from this, here we have to give the extends number. Java let you give the extend, the same interface, that interface or class that you are extending on the class 1, the same thing that you have to define over here again. So then what happens, it is going to again the method remains the same, but while passing you can only pass the class 1 now. So what I am going to do, I am going to change this. So what happens, only you can execute only class 1. Save it and run and see, it remains the same result again. So it is going to perform the class 1 and it is going to produce. So if you are trying to pass the class 2, because we restricted our thing to class 1 there. So what happens, if you are trying to do that, it is going to produce an error where you cannot do, because what is the number type, it is the string type, and also class 2 is not accepted because your T extends the class 1. So like this you can also create multiple bounded types, and also you can extend the interfaces in your bounded type parameter, like a bounded type parameters. So here if you observe one more thing I want to say, Java also accept you to pass a type like this. So automatically Java is going to infer the type over here. This is also allowed. Okay. So in our previous older versions this is not allowed, but from Java 7 you can do this. So this is all about bounded type parameters and the type infer. I hope you got a clear picture about it. Now let's continue our generics in our next class. So keep watching, don't miss it. If you like this video, please like and share to your friends who want to learn Java from basics, and please don't forget to subscribe. And for our notifications, please press the bell icon below, and for notes please visit www.it.sathvidya.com. Thank you.